Hi everybody on the live stream. It's great to see everybody here. It's nice to be out of COVID purgatory finally and back on the circuit. You remember in 2017 when we used to go to conferences and it was the same 30 people you'd meet every time at every single conference? It feels like it's coming back. So we want to talk to you guys about the frontier of institutional DeFi. So let me frame what we're going to talk about first, then we'll talk about it, and then we'll reframe what we talked about in classic presentation style. Why is the frontier of institutional DeFi important? Because it takes a village, as we all know, right? We have this community that's grown over the years. We've got developers, we've got technology specialists, we've got finance specialists, we've got ex-TradFi people, we've got a bit of everything. One big piece of the puzzle that's going to really make everything fly is the vast boatload of institutional capital that wants to get into this space, to take advantage of all the things that we're building. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about ourselves briefly, talk about the companies we represent, and then we're going to talk about how we're actually solving that problem. How do we operate at the frontier of institutional DeFi and facilitate that next big wave that will see massive changes in the coming years? So that's what we're going to talk about. First though, let's introduce ourselves. Cory, great to be here with you.
Likewise.
A little introduction for yourself, Cory.
Thanks, Tim. I'm Cory Pugh with BridgeTower Capital. We've been around a few years in Singapore, US, Zurich, and then in Latin America as well. So we'll get into a little bit more about what we do, but backgrounds, we've been in this industry about 3 years. Come from a little more corporate America, private equity, got involved, gotten to meet Tim. We've known each other for a few years. So we're excited to be here, and I'll stop there and we'll get to good stuff in a minute.
Thanks, Cory. So as for myself, I got into DeFi, I got into the space exactly 7 years ago. I happened to meet with Coinbase and Ripple in Silicon Valley when I was working for a hedge fund. The penny dropped. I've been doing it for 7 years. And what's interesting is I was in institutional world back then, 7 years ago. And now, and I'll trumpet one of our big announcements at Galaxy this week, we just did the first big OTC crypto derivatives trade with Goldman Sachs this week. Some of you might have seen that. And that's meaningful in its own right, but it's more meaningful than that trade. It's meaningful because finally now, after 7 years, we're seeing big institutional adoption begin. And that's really what this discussion's about. I've been through, I was at R3 for a while, we were building Corda back then. I built my own startup, building on a bunch of blockchains. I used to run 6 Digital Exchange for a while, looking at security tokens and regulated trading of that. And now run Europe for Galaxy Digital. So that's the story, but let's talk a little bit about our companies. That's us, the topic. What about our companies? Cory, why don't we talk a little bit about BridgeTower?
So BridgeTower was founded on the premises of the blockchain. And as we got into this space about 3 years ago, we started investing in companies, invested in Europe, in the US, Latin America, and we really just kind of took a look at the entire ecosystem. And it was from an enterprise blockchain perspective. Then we started to understand digital assets, got even more interested, and then we saw the opportunity coming from corporate America, ran a company on the NASDAQ for years. Then we came into private equity, and I thought there's an opportunity for institutions to come in and participate in a global environment. It's not been able to happen in the worlds we've been. You've had to sanction things, or you've had to isolate them. The blockchain goes across everything. So if we could harness those two things in a regulated manner, we got after it.
That's the winner. So, and look, so that's, you've actually got gray hair. You've been around the block, you've run NASDAQ listed companies. You're bringing that experience into DeFi, which is again at this frontier. So I represent Galaxy Digital. Most of you probably know our illustrious leader, Mike Novogratz, who's been a proponent for many years. We are one of the biggest trading houses on the street. We are a big asset management player. We're a banking player, which, by the way, is why we are working with BridgeTower. We're very, very happy to be supporting BridgeTower in their capital raise that they're in the process of doing. We do mining at scale, and we're excited to be getting more into that and with a sustainability edge. And also we've got a big venture portfolio. So we were early participants in the Avalanche ecosystem, among many others. So we're a real deal. We've been in this space for a long time. We're about 300 people and just getting started. So that's the Galaxy Digital story. But really what we want to tee up is a discussion about this intersection of DeFi and institutional. So let me give you an observation from Galaxy Digital. We probably talk to the largest breadth of institutional players in the world who want to get into this space. So yes, we all know the crypto native hedge funds that have been around and have really driven this from the beginning. We still love to trade with the crypto native hedge funds, some of you out there. But what's happened over the last couple of years is from 2020 to through 2021 especially, is we've started to get some of the names you just wouldn't have expected to be coming into this space get super interested. So they've gone beyond just having teams looking at it, they're actually deploying real people and capital, and they're getting into the space. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about sovereign wealth funds. I'm talking about endowments and pensions. That's the institutional money. We're talking about the likes of Goldman Sachs that we saw trade this week, and the other big institutional banks. We can like them or loathe them, but we want their institutional money in our system as we change it. We're talking about asset managers, we're talking about insurance companies, we're talking about traditional hedge funds, we're talking about corporations putting crypto on their balance sheets. We're talking about institutions who are used to a system that one might argue is broken. By the way, why do I think it's broken? In 2008, I was at UBS working during the subprime mess, and I saw that close up, and that's where I thought, this is broken. This doesn't work. This is not a system that we like. That's why I suspect partly we're all here. So here we are in 2022 with the biggest institutional players in the world knocking at the door. They're seeing returns. They're seeing the sort of darker days of 2017, depending on who you are, recede into the rearview mirror. Now we're starting to see regulation become a benign or more benign. We've got a long way to go, but we're starting to see real progress. The executive order from the US was super important to see these sort of big statements come through and evolve us as we move forward. They're all getting slightly more interested, and therefore they want to know, how do we put not 1 million, not 5 million, how do I put $1 billion worth of fiat into a DeFi system? How do I take advantage of these new economics? How do I get the yield that I'm seeing on the website? How do I do that? That's what this is all about, and we all need to keep doing what we're doing. It takes a village. But part of what we need is secure, regulated, sensible, past the institutional sniff test access to DeFi. We are seeing that loud and clear every single day. That's what we're hearing people want. And BridgeTower, among others, BridgeTower are solving that problem. So I want to kind of tee you up to talk about how you've done that and what it is that you're actually providing. And I believe you actually have some groovy announcements to make as well. So over to you, Cory.
You kind of set the bar here, though. So we're going to come in here. We'll be all right. So one of the things we focused on, to Tim's points, was DeFi. And coming from the institutional world, the proper corporate world, we thought, what can we do? How can we participate? So we started out this company investing in multiple entities, which is our backgrounds. Then we heavily got involved in staking through multiple jurisdictions. Today we have our own nodes. We have about 5,000 of our own nodes across Tier 1s, Web 3.0s. Those exist all in Switzerland, 100% renewable energy. And so we built those, we manage those, and we run those. And that became critical for us to build an infrastructure and an ecosystem that we could then use as a platform. And it's annuity. It's something, if you believe in the blockchain, I don't know how decentralization ever really works if you can't proliferate that globally. So then we set up a company structure that went really across the globe with different entities. Not an easy play, and something we're seeing too, and I won't get into it because it's boring, but you spend a lot of money with Deloitte, law firms, understanding the jurisdictions and how you do things. So we spent that time. And then we thought maybe there's products we could offer. You know, we have a group that's from Swiss asset managers to CTOs to world-class executives, and we thought, okay, What if we took this concept of a security and we utilized that security in a way that could take a product in a special way that's really not been done? So we took staking, and then we said, all right, we got the platform. We have close to $1 billion of our own AUD on our own nodes, 100% renewable energy. So we said, let's take a digital staked asset and call it a security. Well, to do that, you've got to have a proper infrastructure. So you've got to have custodians, which we love custodians. If they're here, we need more. We have to have a regulated group like Securitize. So we partner with Securitize to do a Securitize ID. We'll take a staked token on one of our nodes, create a smart contract. That smart contract becomes a security, which we use another partner, Avalanche. And so now we've created a product that's a security, created all the way through. You have this great company called Chainlink with this proof of reserve concept. So you start to create a product all along this platform that is regulated. And then we thought, where do you put it? I'm not going back on the NASDAQ for a while. I did that. That was fun. But let's stay here. So we go to Avalanche. You've got subnets. So we can take this product in a permission market. Now, permission markets have been around for a while. This is a different form. In order to get into this permission market, you go through KYC. KYC is done, again, through our good partner, Securitize. You get an ID, you come through, you're in this ring fenced, it's on chain inside of a subnet. So you've got counterparty risk. You've got the ability to track and trace the assets through proof of reserves with our other partnerships. And we said, okay, let's get this out there and going. So now you have a proper product with an underlying asset that now can be sold to institutions, and it can start to evolve. So as we started to create it, we said, all right, platform, products that are regulated, permission markets. And then on the other side, we have another permission market that's for non-securities. So NFTs are a big play for us. And in fact, I'm going to watch the clock. We have a pretty cool NFT we're going to give away towards the end of the week, which is a world-class painting, one of the most famous artists in the world, which we did a deal with for a series of things. And then we also have a few other little announcements. But we will have an exchange also for non-securities, securities, Avalanche subnets, NFTs, swaps, financial products. And now you've created this ring-fenced environment that's fully compliant with KYC. We have proper transactions and controls across it, and we started to get some cadence with this. A year and a half ago, we were an ugly, ugly company. No, if you don't have 2,000% returns, you're not that fun. Today, being regulated, it works a little better.
Beautiful. Did you catch that? You dropped the big number there quite quietly. That was $1 billion of staked assets, right?
Yes.
So look, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like, millions doesn't cut it anymore. If the largest investors in the world want to put money in this, and they do, they've got it, they get the joke, they've seen what we've done, they want a piece of the action, but they don't know how to do it, and this is the solution, one of the solutions. I think it's worth saying we heart Avalanche, of course, but you're also staking on other ecosystems as well, which is important because you've got to be, to some extent, agnostic. So that's the story, right? You've got a new world that we've all created that's just kind of past the point of no return. You've got this huge wall of money that's sort of looking at it, a little bit circumspect, not entirely sure what it means from a regulation, compliance, AML, KYC perspective, security. And you need BridgeTowers and other great companies to come in and provide the answer. And this is the answer. So I would imagine if we do this right, you'll be talking about billions not so long from now. And those now. The inevitable next step is going to get even more interesting. But like we need that is the frontier of institutional DeFi. Access, safe, regulated, secure access. And think of it this way. I remember I stood up at ETH in crypto, darkest crypto winter, the ethereal conference, in a kilt, by the way. And I showed a slide that showed at the time, I think the market cap of crypto was 250 billion, so that tells you where we were in the cycle. All right, so we're about 2 trillion now, right? So let's just say that we go 5x from here. Let's hope that we go 5x from here. and we get to 10 trillion, right? And gold stays about the same, so we're only about the same size as gold. Securities is hundreds of trillions, right? And I think collectively, as a movement, as a village, we've got to get our head around this next step. It's not bad to go into regulated securities. In fact, it's going to unlock the largest wall of money we've ever seen, which is going to be more investment, more resources, more advances, and a faster, quicker way to get to where we want to go. So that's the story. And then last but not least, well, you've made all your announcements, right? You good to go?
One point.
Go for it.
So with securities, it's amazing. I'm glad to see there's a lot of companies doing KYC because that's important. KYC is not the same as a security. A security is actually, go back to the 1940s, they've been around. They have to be handled in a very precise way, and you hear the regulators talk all the time. Whether it happens, when it happens, I'm not sure. We set up the processes before, knowing, all right, if an NFT, for example, wants to be a security, fine, we pivot. We can move it into this. But the partnerships in this ecosystem are what's been amazing to me. In an emerging market, it's really not time for competition, it's collaboration. And from the Swiss Stock Exchange days, with our office in Zurich, we were able to communicate, work together, and build. So these ecosystems, I see a few people with Latin America we're doing some things with. It's pretty cool. So you build this out, but you do it properly, and regulators will help. They want to be involved, and that's the approach we've taken. But if you take shortcuts, I don't think that works. It's transparency, and you can find your way through it. So, yeah, so a couple announcements. Number one, the digital asset staked security. A lot of people have done some phenomenal things with staked assets. We chose to make it a security, which means we had to partner up with multiple entities that have licensed SEC, FINRA, and other global jurisdictions to sell it. Partnering with Avalanche has been huge for us. Avalanche has supported us, they've backed us, they've given us tremendous opportunity. And to be able to sell a security like this on-chain in a subnet, subnets are powerful to me because I can ring fence it going back to that. And then we looked at the NFTs and we found a group that has a Goya collection. Goya is one of the most famous artists of all time. Kind of ironic that it's in this region, which is pretty neat. So you will get an email that will have a link. The link's going to take you to a Securitized ID portal. You'll go in through KYC and you will receive one of Goya's most famous paintings as a gift from us. And then you'll see a whole lot more in the art in some of Goya's 80 most prestigious paintings coming out. And then there'll be some large sports groups coming out. One of the largest sporting federations in the world. You'll see some NFTs coming out. So, and Avalanche has made a lot of that possible, quite honestly. Thank you.
Awesome. So his name's Cory, my name's Tim. We're all going to make it. See you out there and keep fighting the good fight, my friends.
Bye-bye.